Greetings, family, and welcome to the Omziel Healing Sanctuary. Uh, we're back at it again. The Art of Rising is here. I have my guest in the waiting room, and he stepped out for a hot second. So I said, "Where'd he go? He got cold feet." But the brother's here, man. He's got some great information for us. He seems to have some of the codes that we're looking for. Um, he is a master of a few things. He's a jack of many trades, but a master of a few things. And I feel that this is going to help us, to elevate, because here at the Art of Rising, we're all about elevating ourselves, our physical body, our mental, our finances, our spirituality, all of those things. So thank you for joining us. We're not going to keep you too long. And my brother's name is Elijah, Owen Elijah Brown III. And he does quite a number of things. And I have him explain some of those things. And he's been through the ringer, just like many of us too. So let's see what he's doing with himself, man. He's a real go-getter. And I'm proud to have him on the show. So come in, Elijah. Welcome, brother. Welcome to the Art of Rising.
Hey, what's up, everybody? How you doing over there, Omar?
Good. Fantastic, brother. So yeah, let's just jump right into it, man. I know that you're coming out of was it Pennsylvania, right?
Yes,
Okay, okay,
absolutely.
and then ended up in New York and stuff. So yeah, just give us a brief background of where you're from and where you're at now.
Sure. Before I go into all that, I just want to say, Omar, thank you for having me on this. I enjoy having the opportunity because I know you as to be a person who you seem to be like I want to say like a connection, a conduit of many different types of positive energy. So I just want to show gratitude. I appreciate being here on your platform. Um, yeah, we can get into who I am, I guess, and what I'm doing here. Um, yeah, I am a person, a small town kid from central Pennsylvania, and I grew up sort of like always wanting to be, I guess, I wanted to be of service, but I wanted to be a person who was on stages and traveling around the world and meeting lots of people. That's sort of ever since I was old enough to kind of figure out, hey, I could do something with my life. That's really what I wanted to do. And, I've got family that are like musicians and, the other side of the family, they're just hardworking, good Americans, good people, just, you know, loving family. So I wanted to just kind of do what I could to serve. And now I'm out here in the New Jersey, New York, uh, Florida, California area, running around here doing stuff.
That's great. I see that, and that's one of the reasons why I brought you onto the show. We took a little time off. We were forming, right, the Purple Sage Festival, and there was a few hiccups, to say the least, and even the venue had changed at the last second. But the show must go on. No outside force should ever influence what you decide to do inside, and it's the right thing to do. You
Yeah.
just push forward no matter what. So during the Purple Sage Festival, I met you. You came in with another sister, Sandra Smalls, and she's super talented. Bro, listen, listen. She is super, super talented. Really, really.
Sa-
Uh, mhm,
Sister Sandra is on to something. And I think that I've been very fortunate to be in her musician space. And, she's got some great music coming, but she has been an enlightening energy just in general. So I would definitely inspire, if y'all watching this, pay attention. Sandra Small, amazing.
for real, yes.
Mhm.
So I met you through her. You came here, and you guys showed up early, and she brought you really in to the breath work and the ice plunge, which seems to be our staple here at Omzia Healing Sanctuary. And we're going to get into that in a little while. But your energy that you came with, I just felt your vibration was high, and then I started to talk to you about some of the things that you're doing, and I was like, for real? That's what I'm talking about, like a real go-getter. Like That's what OMZL is about, and that's what this podcast is here. This is a beacon of light to let people know, what are you waiting for? Let's go. Like, do something, create something. Whoever made us to be the best version of ourselves. So if you can, Owen, please give us a little brief description of what are the things that you've been doing and some of the
Sure.
projects you're still working.
Sure. So I am an MC. A MC, in case some people don't know what it is a master of ceremonies. You can spell it EMCEE or MC, right? And as an MC, there are many different aspects to being an MC because it could be a person who helps. Uh, you could help events come together. You could help religious events come together. You could be a performer. It's all included in the artistry of being an MC. And me personally, when I was a young kid growing up in central Pennsylvania, I was a big hip hop fan. I loved all aspects of hip hop. And when I'm talking about hip hop, I'm talking about the KRS-One hip hop. I'm talking about the hip hop that made you feel like it was cool to not only be a person of color, but it was cool to be talented and positive in your community. So I grew up with aspects of that. I mean, every time I would come to New York to visit my family and live with them for a while, it's like I would always hear Queen Latifah, UNITY playing, and it's like it became the soundtrack to my life, really. And these aspects of being an MC, these vocal people, a lot of times it has to do in that aspect when it comes to music, it's rap, right? But being an MC it has a lot more to do than just being a musician or rapper, right? Like as a vocalist, as a person who is in front of a lot of people, literally every time you get in front of people, it's almost like a ceremony. And you can either raise the vibration or you can kill it, you know? And I just remember before I even knew it was a job, before I knew what it was always that person. Sometimes not so cool of a person, but I was always that person when I would get around my friends, family, schoolmates, classmates. I would go to clubs. I was always that person trying to raise the vibration. And it took a long time for me to really understand the social dynamics of that. But it was always in me. And it's part of my passion, and I can't seem to let it go. And I wouldn't let it go because I love it. So,
So what is it that you're building on with that
okay.
in some of the projects that you have completed, some of the people that you've worked with, and
Yeah.
some of the things that are going on now?
So, one of the things I would say has been I've been very fortunate in my career as an MC to work with some very very awesome groups. I started being a singing group, and when I was in the singing group, we were just four young dudes, uh, dreamers, trying to live our dream of being musicians and being on stage and traveling. And we were a group called Odyssey, and during that time, we had worked so hard. We had literally every single job. Every person in the group had a job. And we were young. We didn't know exactly what we were doing, but we knew we were doing something. We were passionate about it. We just knew that if we put our best foot forward, we could accomplish some things. And we were able to open up for uh, some major acts like Flow Rider, Boys to Men, Danity Kane, No Diddy. We were just out there doing a lot of stuff, and we were somehow succeeding. And we ended up with a residency at Six Flags Great Adventure, and we did 420 shows in one summer. And it really seemed like okay, we're accomplishing something as young artists. And it always just showed me that okay, we can keep moving. Now fast forward a little bit from that, after our group kind of like we matured, we decided that maybe we wanted to step into some different directions because we were young men. um, we came to this well, I came to a point where I became incredibly depressed. And during that time, I had to do a lot of soul searching because I think whenever you're kind of defining yourself by what you do and what you are, whenever you're still kind of adolescent, um, there's some transition that needs to take place. And I think we're still, everybody has been lately around me, been in a state of transition. I don't know if you feel like you've been in a state of transition, but a lot of people have been in a state of transition. But that was my first state of transition. I've constantly been transition. But anyway, during that time, I kind of, I figured like, okay, I have a lot of things that I like to do, but I haven't been able to fully express them because when you're a guy in a band, you have a job and that's the thing you do. So I had a chance to expand. I left the country for the first time. And a lot of people who have never been out of the country don't understand that when you get out of America, the matrix that is America, your world is expanded exponentially.
Mhm.
I went to Amsterdam, of all places, and I went there twice. And it really kind of just made me say, wow, you can really do what you want to do. You don't have to be told who you are. And I've never been the type of person to be told who I was. I didn't care when I was a kid. They used to say I talk white, you know, and sometimes that has actually served me. Actually, there's times when I've had to talk like this. And I don't know that I have a very good English accent. I can tell you that it just worked for me and interesting experiences. So I'll let that go some other time for another
Lovely old
conversation.
boy. I love your English accent. I just had
Yeah,
no
see,
idea you were from there. Of
yes,
course, old boy. Come on. I
yes.
mean, I thought
There you
everyone
go.
spoke like this privately.
It's charming on some level, right? It's charming, and my African accent doesn't sound as good, but I'm working on it. And my Jamaican, and I'm half Jamaican, so like my Jamaican sounds like Irish. It's
Yeah, man. Wagwan. Irie, man. Yeah, man.
right. We'll get into that some other time. But the whole point is, as I'm coming up with all my things that I've learned and things like that, I just kind of I've I was able to start working in films, start working into acting, some things that I wanted to do, and I landed an opportunity to be the head MC at one of the big major companies in New York. And through my MC career, I have had many talented mentors from Unique Music, mentors from New York Exclusive, a company that I ended up actually, taking and working with, um, so many companies on the move. The people who run these companies, they've been in entertainment, they've been doing events their whole lives. They know everything. And I've been very fortunate to have studied under these people. And yeah, when I lived in New York, after the band experience, I was able to do some awesome things, and I teamed up, started working with a group called I Will Graduate. As you can see, I'm drinking from their mug. Shout
Mm.
out I Will Graduate. I don't know if they're going to watch this, but
They will. Trust me. I'll send
yeah.
it to them.
But anyway, I Will Graduate. Their director, her name is Tonya Lewis Taylor, and she's an amazing woman. And she's been working with the school district of New York for 20 some years. And she's been the person who's been not only inspiring youth by doing different programs throughout the high schools and the community, but she's also the conduit between a lot of like major talent and kind of bringing that energy back to show people, hey, listen, you can achieve things beyond your wildest imagination. Just understand that education is key. And I've been working with them now for probably the past 2 or 3 years. And recently, I did their Barclays Center I Will Graduate Day. We had like 15,000 kids, and I was on stages with like a lot of famous people. And I mean, fame is it's a thing. It's
It's a
not like
thing. It's a
yeah,
thing. Yeah.
we
Yeah.
don't look
Yeah.
at celebrity and say,
That,
oh, but we just understand that these people have they've done a lot of things in their life to get to the level that they
that's
have.
it.
Yeah.
Exactly. The old saying that says, don't meet your heroes.
We'll meet your heroes.
Don't meet them. No, 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 don't, because
Yeah.
you'll see that they're
They're
just
people.
people just like you,
They're
and they're
people.
struggling, and they put in some sweat equity,
Yeah.
big time, yes, and but yes, tell me about some of the film also. You did mention some film that you were involved in and creating, and tell us.
Yeah. So okay. Pandemic. pandemic hit us hard. It hit me hard. I actually had,
Pandemic.
yeah, pandemic. I had COVID for about 2 months. And,
I'm
you
sorry.
know, I'm not going to talk about the jab and all the things that were kind of like happening around that time that kind of forced a lot of us into some interesting decisions. But I will say this: whenever the world was shut down, you know, up until that point, I think my creative energy, I had wanted to do something, but I didn't know what it was. And when I got COVID for 2 months, I was kind of stuck in the house for like a long time. And hindsight, I should have probably gotten outside a lot more. But I kind of got caught up. I was in the house, kind of isolated from everybody, and I really started having what what Bruce Lee would call the art of dying, the art of dying thoughts. What is it that I would want to leave behind? Because in your mind, you're being fed, streamed, doom streamed, all these images of people dying from COVID. And of course, I had it for a long time. So in my mind, I was like, what is it that I really want to know? And what is it that I want to do? I want to be known for. I want to put my energy into, because I've got so many things in my head. And that kind of makes me a master of many, but sorry, a master of many. It makes me sort of a jack of many, but a master of what? Right. So I said, okay, if I could collectively put my energy into one thing that would allow me to use the talents that I've been working on all my life into something that would combine them all, what would it be? And I made my first musical film. And until then, I had never really thought of doing a musical film, but I had known that my whole life I wanted, like, when I was a kid, the things that got me through tough times were like movies like Mowgli and the Jungle Book. And Jim Carrey movies. He's a cartoon character all himself, but you know, uh, well, his characters are. I don't know about him the person, but and you got to be like that now because it's PC. You know, you got to really be careful. But anyway, all I can say is this: I would watch a lot of these movies, and they had so much going on. They always allowed me to think outside of my box. So I made my first film, and it's called Mama's Home Cooking versus the Trap Star. And I made the film because at the time, while we're stuck in our house and we're being fed all these images of, like, you know, people dying, and on the other side, the music, the music that I had loved growing up, it suddenly seemed very, very dark. And it was like everybody was just going to the lowest denominator for mainstream appeal. Maybe that's what you have to do. I don't know. I'm still figuring that one out. I mean, I know there's some people doing some positive things in music, but I think during the time I had listened to like 10 to 15. It's Trap Star, by the
Oh,
way.
trap star, not track star.
Yeah,
Okay, my apology. All right.
because at the time, trap music it was like dominating all the hip hop vibe. And the thing is, you know, growing up, there was so many different styles of hip hop. You know, you had more variety. If you wanted to be amped, you could be amped. But if you wanted to be chill, you could be chill. And if you wanted to be moral, you could be moral. If you wanted to be ratchet, you could be ratchet. But you had choice because it was a level playing field. Having said that, I wanted to make a film that kind of talked about what may have happened to all of the other styles of music and why they've disappeared. Now, mind you, I had COVID, and there were times when I was hallucinating some of this.
Mm.
But I wrote a 5 character movie where I played every single character. I filmed it in my room. I bought a green screen because no one could come in, no one could go out, right? So I stayed in my place, and I wrote this multi-character film that includes music, included acting, included every single element that I thought I could bring to it. And I put it into a film, you know, I edited it. I did it all. I did every single job on it. And for a while, I didn't know if I was going to release it, but then I did because I felt like I was going crazy. I really didn't understand why I was doing these things on some level, because it felt like you needed to be worried about so many other things, but something just kept telling me, yo, do this. So I did it. I trusted God, you know, the energy that was flowing through me. And I did it. And afterwards, I won. I started winning awards. at film festivals. I won like a huge international film festival in Italy, and they actually they took care of me. I went over there to Rome, and they showed me around, and they showed my film on big screens, and it was like, I won some crazy award, and it was I didn't see any of this coming. But the most interesting thing happened after the film, right? The art that you make as an artist or as a person, it really can come back to you in positive ways. Now, I made this film, and suddenly after the film, that's when I got the opportunity to work with I Will Graduate.
Mm.
In my film, there's a dancing lion, right? And the mascot for I Will Graduate is a dancing lion, right? Mama's home cooking. There's a mama, and she's like trying to make me some food, and there's like all these lovable but maybe interesting characters. And I started seeing like some of this stuff kind of come into fruition, but it was all bringing opportunity into my life.
Mm.
And it was like somehow I had manifested these things, because obviously if I had not made the film, then I wouldn't have recognized some of this stuff. So, I just want to, like, one of the things that I tell young people whenever I talk in schools is that, you know, whenever you find yourself down or you find yourself in a very hard place, it's not about falling into the mindset of despair, or falling into anger, or falling into any of those low places.
Mm.
That's when you can start to get creative. All your life you've been given these energies that flow through you. Some people are really good with math. Some people are really good with their hands. Some people are really good with, connecting people. All right. Those are the times when you want to dig into what you have and start to explore them. And I would suggest that to anybody. You can work, you can do all this stuff, but definitely dig into the things that you have that are part of your purpose. And you can feel it, because it's going to be stuff you love to do, stuff you're really good at, stuff that you can get enthusiastic and passionate about.
Mm.
And I did. And all I can say is, we've done at least a couple hundred schools since then. I've acted in some major films, on a small level, of course, until I book a major role. But I'm out here, and I'm proof that you can do stuff
Mm.
that you want to do, and it doesn't have to feel like you're compromising yourself. I think a lot of people feel like there's that compromise that has to happen. And the thing is, as you grow and you mature, it doesn't have to be a compromise. You can find it.
Mm.
It might just be the difference between, figuring out, okay, what is being done, what has been done, and what needs to be done. And
Mhm.
sometimes you can see it. It's like a clear shot.
Mhm.
By the
Mhm.
way, you do archery by any chance?
Yeah, every day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Of course, of course. I'm always hitting the mark, man. At some point, trust me, I'm always evolving and stuff. And you came up with some amazing points, and I was thinking about what is our life's purpose and what is it that we should be going for, right? Because life can be a bit mundane. You go to a job and you get some money because that's what they do, right? They pay us so we don't have to follow our dreams, right? But we get this money and then we take it and then we give it to somebody else, right? So
Yeah.
it's like this vicious type of thing. But when you speak about your purpose, something that bubbles up, right? Something that you think about every day. I don't know what it is. Playing that instrument, writing that book, drawing something, opening that gym, or perhaps you want to provide something to the public. That way they can come and enjoy, right? Because that's one of the things that we do too. One of the things.
Yeah.
It's something that is just nipping at your heels constantly. And I also tell people the same thing. You can do whatever it is that you want, but you have to focus on that. You have to be consistent. It's mind numbing. It's boring. It's monotonous. It's repetitive. It's all of those things. But that's what success looks like. Not the guy in the boat, like it looks beautiful and all of that, the fancy cars and stuff, but you don't know what that person did to get there.
You
Those
know,
endless hours of doing things.
can I piggyback on that?
Mhm.
My dad, he's a musician, and he's world traveled. And I grew up watching him work as a musician and work as a coach and work as, this person who's every day inspired and impassioned to do something. And, when I lived around him, or when I was there in the house or around him in general, it was very easy to connect with that energy. And then I didn't live with him for a while. I didn't live anywhere near him for a while. And sometimes you'd run into people like that, but people tend to be very private. They don't necessarily want to share what what their life is like, especially these days they want to make it seem effortless, you know. It's almost like AI did it. But hopefully AI didn't do it, or else you're fake. Okay, but anyway, I'm not going to go there. All right, look. So all I'm going to say is this. All right, I feel like there's been times in my life where you have a lot of people who are doing the opposite of what you're doing. As an artist, as a person who's a creator, as an entrepreneur, there's a lot of people who just want to get the regular job. They want to come home, and they want to relax. And that's cool. Nothing wrong with that. But if you have it in your spirit that you're going to create something, you're going to do something, and we all go through phases. So there's that. But the thing is, if you have something in you, you really want to surround yourself with people who are just as passionate, people who are doing it. And you know what? Those naysayers, the people who are saying that it can't happen, can't occur, you really got to tunnel vision. You got to cut them out, and you really got to pay attention to what works, because you'll find I think you'll find that as a creative person, as a person who has a purpose and understands their purpose, you'll find that there's a lot of people who don't know their purpose,
Mm-hmm.
or there's a lot of people who challenge their own purpose
Mm-hmm.
and they don't even believe in their purpose, and they see you doing it and they kind of want to believe. But at the same time, if you're achieving your purpose and they're not following their purpose,
Mm-hmm.
then it becomes like, well, I doubt it. It doesn't seem real.
Mm-hmm.
You can't, and they become those people in your ear that can make you doubt yourself.
Yeah,
So you want
yeah.
to find people who are passionate about what they're doing, who are in it. And I've been very fortunate. Like I said, the artists that I've been around, I see them practicing. I see them going to things. I see them taking their energy and working with it, very passionate about what they do. So
Right.
find people like
If
that.
you if you if you see somebody like Tupac, if
Mm,
you know the amount of hours that he spent in the studio, like just living there all day, he would showed up early, left late. That's how you do it,
yeah,
something like that.
yeah,
I'll also say that I had a good brother tell me, man, my cousin, I was telling him about this thing that I'm doing, and he just came out with all this negative stuff, like how could I even imagine to be doing that? And I told him right away, get rid of him, get rid of him. I told him straight out like that. I said, look, you don't want to just cut him off like that and say, don't talk to me. It's not like that, because
mm,
the people that love you, they do, and you love them too, so you don't want to cut them off like that. But
yeah,
begin to distance yourself from them. That's what I told them. Like
yeah,
that. Take time to do what is it that you're called to do. Harness your craft. Keep going. Put some grit for the mill. That's how they call it. Add some grit to the mill. Something that will really, so you could really get on your grind. And
yeah,
I said, once you start doing that, you see people start staying away from you.
yeah.
What they start saying, oh man, that Owen, man, I don't know who he think he is, bro. He's tripping. Every time I ask him to come out, they don't come out. You know what I'm saying? We want to go to a club or something like that. We'll go to the bar. He just don't want to come. Like, man, don't call him. Don't text him. Nah, 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 nah. Leave him.
You, man, can I gotta say, because that with that being said, it's
Go ahead,
like,
because we're gonna take a quick break right here. But go ahead.
sure, every journey is specific. Will Smith said, "You don't even they don't know who you are. You are making who you are every day." And the thing is, if you're not paying attention to your health, if you're not paying attention to the things that are important to your life, that's problematic. So yeah, absolutely, you gotta the energies around you, family. Okay, look, I love you, I got you, but
Mhm,
I have to focus because you guys are taking away energy, and I know something, and it's going to be difficult to even bring that into fruition. But
mhm.
that's the purpose. That's the path.
Yeah. So sometimes, like even the explanation they're just not gonna understand. They're like try to combat it with, but why you work so hard?
Yeah.
Why come on, I see you 3 o'clock in the morning, you're doing these things, bro. Come on, get some sleep. It's Sunday. But what we're gonna do now is pause for a quick break here. This is the commercial part of the podcast, by the way.
Okay.
And here we are. The Omziel Healing Sanctuary, one of the staples that we're providing to people, the platform that we have here is breath work with an ice plunge. Now, there's a ton of information that's on the internet about how the breath, it alkalines your body, it slows down the monkey mind, the frontal lobe of your brain. And I mean, there's tons of that. And then there's the ice too. There's tons of research that's on that. And that's one of the things that I love about this is because there's science behind this. It's not just a placebo, which I'm not against placebo, right? Placebo, I believe is a Latin word for making it real. That's what placebo means, right? But being that we do the breath work and the ice plunge, we're located in North Bergen, New Jersey, right? Our website is omzielhealingsanctuary.com. You can go to /events. You will see our events there. There's many things that we do, but the breath work and the ice plunge seems to be one of our staples. And you could see the event page that we're having one coming up. It's a men's plunge, by the way. It's a private event. Okay, so we're trying our best to give a good brother a chance to fill up the spaces with a group that he's connected with, a men's group, by the way. But once some other slots open up, we're filling it with other brothers too. And I want to offer something to people at the end of the podcast for that ice plunge if you're interested. So just hang in there. But real quickly, brother, I met you at the breathwork and the ice plunge. That was the first time I ever set eyes on you. Although I feel that I've known you forever, bro. I don't know if it's your energy or it's just like that, right? When you know
Yeah.
somebody, you just feel there's a deeper connection. But tell me, how was the breath work and the ice? If you could tell us real quickly, like, man, what was your experience like, brother?
Yeah. Whew. See, I want to get personal on this interview, bro. All right, but I'm going to be honest because I know that there's some people out there who don't understand uh these things are important. And so the first thing is when we came there, it was like a brotherly and sisterly, I guess, sort of space. I got there and everyone was helping out, everyone was putting things together, and it was really cool. And I felt like I could just, chill with these people. Um, and then we got into the room to do the breath work. And I had done breath work before, but I think just with what's going on in life, just been kind of going through a lot of stuff on my mind, a lot of stuff you kind of you feel, but you kind of push past. And when I was sitting there and we started to go into it, I was really, really just trying to allow myself to submit to the breathing, and I found it to be very difficult. And you know, uh, I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I used to partake in certain substances.
You're perfect. Trust me, you are perfect, brother. Perfectly imperfect.
A couple substances that used to help me relax, but I understand that you can't rely on those substances because there's going to be situations where one, you don't have those substances and you're going to still need to be able to maintain your mindset. Also, those substances come with consequences, but thing is, everything comes with consequences, right? But those substances may come with other consequences. And I said, okay, my sober mind has to be able to do this. But the more I tried, the more rewarding it felt. And the more I kind of felt like I needed to know how to submit to the air because the air is literally your life energy. You take
That's
an
right.
oxygen, it's life.
That's right.
The
That's right.
oxygen is life, man.
Life,
It's
life
like,
is like that. Yeah, when you breathe in,
yeah,
that's life because
yeah,
our last breath will be an air out. You see,
yeah,
so every time we breathe in, that's life.
mm,
That's why scriptures say, that the Creator blew breath in your lungs. You
yeah.
see, it blew it. It came in, and that's how we came to life. But that's interesting because that's a quite common thing. But now, quickly tell me about the ice. How was that? Why I
So
say that is because you were the first one to go.
it's true.
You were the
It's
first
true.
one. Yeah.
If
So
you
how
want to
was
know
that?
something, me and Sandra Small. So she rock paper scissored me for it. She was like, "Who's gonna go first? You know who?" And then I was like, "I'll go first." She's like, "No, I'm gonna go first." And then she rock paper scissors me for it, and I won. But anyway, we'll come back to that another time. But the breathing that had set me up, right? It actually made me cry because I felt like the more I submitted, the more release I felt. And by the time it was time to get into the ice, I knew I was going to have to use that breathing because jumping into ice cold water has a jarring effect. And it actually feels like you want to breathe very high and very, all that stuff. And it's hard sometimes for me to breathe deep. Sometimes it's hard. I don't know why, but sometimes it's anxiety. Maybe it's whatever it is, physical. I don't know.
We
But
haven't
it's
been
just
taught how to breathe. That's
right.
that's what it is. We just nobody ever taught us, you know. But I'm
So when
sorry.
I,
Go ahead, brother.
it's all right. It's okay. When I jump, I know we don't have a lot of time, but when I jumped into that water, that cold, first thing you want to do is get high. But then you know what happens? When you start breathing high, it's like you don't feel supported, you don't feel calm. You feel like I really like it was so cold, right? That the coldness, you know how you get like that brain fog? I started to get it in the back of my head. But I remembered you were like breathe. You were like with me, you're coaching me, you're right there. And you and a bunch of other people making awesome aromatic grunt sounds, right? Like they're freeing their inner
Yep.
energy. And I
Yeah.
remembered that's the way you're supposed to breathe. Breathe
Yes.
deep.
Prehistoric. Yeah. That's
That
it. Yep.
prehistoric monkey
Mhm.
brain. I don't know if it's a monkey brain, but it's a part of your breathing that actually supports you. And I know that when I breathe deep, I can feel it in all my body. So I started practicing this. I started doing this, and you were coaching me, right? And thank you for being there.
Of
And
course.
it
Of
was
course.
it was like this thing was like slow breathe, and I started to feel like the cold wasn't bothering me as much. So by the time we got to the 2.5 minute mark or whatever it was, I felt like I was good, and I felt like the ice was doing its job. When I got out of the water, um, my body felt great. I felt invigorated. I felt like all because I have sometimes like lower back pain. I don't know if any of you guys get that, but I've
Yeah.
had lower back
Actually,
pain.
humans are the only primates that have back problems.
Of course we are. We're also
We
the
sit
only
in
ones that pay
chairs all
taxes.
day. Yeah.
Sure. Lower back pain, sure, we're human. Why not? We can deal with it. But all I can tell you is, yes, the pain was gone, and I felt very good, and I felt like I was in like a Zen state, and I stayed and watched the other people, and afterwards it was like a natural high. These are the type of ways I feel like we should be getting high, you know,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I'm very grateful for the experience. So thank you for helping me with
Of
that.
course. Thank you. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much, man. And
Yes, sir.
yeah,
I recommend it.
we have maybe about 10 minutes or so. We're gonna continue here. Thank you so much for that portion of it. That way, we let people know that it's here. If you want to get high on your own supply, it's right here at the Omzia Healing Sanctuary, and it's cheaper too than
Yeah.
no, for real.
You
But
I want to piggyback on that natural high thing before we move
no,
on from that.
go right
So
ahead.
when I lived in Philadelphia, and I started partaking in substances that I won't mention, uh, you know, I started writing this song called 52nd Street because I used to live on 52nd Street. It's kind of interesting area. I mean, it was great for me. I loved it, but there were times when it was maybe just more interesting. I'll just leave it there. And
Mhm.
having said that, one of the songs I wrote in 52nd Street, I came with the line, my natural high. My natural high, my natural high. And I didn't realize at the time that I was yearning for that natural high and not this thing so much.
Right.
Not saying it doesn't have its place,
Right. Right.
but I am saying that there was a time when that natural high, there's nothing like it. You
Right.
know, there's nothing like feeling
There's
that.
nothing
And
like it. There's nothing like it.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
I'll end with this on that note is that scientists already know that the endorphin and the dopamine rush that you get from getting submerged into water with a lot of ice is the equivalent of snorting 2 lines of coke.
oh,
So, yep, yeah, yeah, cheaper too. I mean, not that I know. I mean, they
that's,
told me about that.
I
Yeah,
mean, that's good to know. In
yeah,
case someone's
and
like,
it
man, I
lasts.
need some, what do I need? Ice cold
Right.
water.
Exactly. And it lasts longer too, Owen. Yeah, they
Okay.
already
Yeah.
know that it lasts 72 hours. But for me, it lasts like a week,
Mm,
sometimes 2 weeks, brother. I'm on
yeah.
fire. I really am. Like I'm super focused, man. That's why I just go around, turning people on. I'm like, yo, it's right here, man. I got the good stuff. The one with the blue angel stamp on it. I got it. Let's go. Let's go.
Hallelujah. Absolutely.
So if people stand by for another 10 minutes or so, we're going to offer them something on the ice plunge that we have here at the Omzia Healing Sanctuary. But brother, let's get right back into it. Tell me a little bit about the mindset that you also spoke about too in some of your bio that you had sent me.
Yeah.
How is it that you get into this space? What is it that you do to combat some of these negative forces that are always like pulling and pushing towards us? Yeah, give us some of the
Yes.
codes, brother.
Okay. So, one, I'm a musician. By the way, I know you probably don't know, but I perform as an artist named Eli Costello. Eli Costello on Spotify, guys. Check it out. But Eli Costello. And the Costello stands for conscious of stereotypical entities lacking life's optimism.
Mm,
And I think ever since I was a kid,
well
I've
thought
always,
out.
yeah, right. I've always been a person who's kind of been on that quote unquote empathic thing. I can always sense things and feelings. And one of the things I would say first is learning how to breathe, like you said, is very important. Before I go on a stage, and sometimes before I go in front of these kids in some parts of New York, they're not necessarily that happy to see a motivational guy, or they're sometimes they're having terrible life things happening. Sometimes they hate being where they are. Sometimes they don't know what to believe in because there's so much counter energy. There's so many counter points to every single thing, right? They don't know which way to be pulled. So the first thing I have to do is center myself. Breathing is the number one thing that I do before an event or a show, before I talk to people. I have to maintain. Another thing is I have to stretch. Your body is very important to how you're letting people know how you feel, your confidence, your comfortability. People are constantly evaluating all these levels. And whenever you seem like a person who's kind of like, kind of talking about something, you're not really into it, not making good eye contact, kind of your energy is kind of you don't really look like you're excited. People are calibrating that and they're trying to figure out whether they should give you any attention. I'm not saying it always works, but I am saying this 9 times out of 10, if you change your physicality and breathe, focus yourself, understand your purpose while you're in a place, you maybe you're not there to be the star. Maybe you're there just to help. Maybe you're there to serve. And I personally have found the most successful things that I've been a part of is whenever I realize I'm not here to shine. I'm here to serve. And how I serve is going to be the it's going to be the direction on whether this is a successful and a good time and an enjoyable time and a memorable time versus whether it's a thing where people just feel like I was here to serve myself.
Yes,
You
I think about a book that I recently read also. It's with Jordan Belfort,
Mm.
right? You know him?
Yeah,
He's the Wolf of Wall Street,
Wolf of
right? I
Wall
mean,
Street.
this was yeah. I mean, the movie it was okay. It had some parts, but when you really get into the man's life, what he went through, and how he had to overcome some of these things, and he fell prey to lots of, devices that they put in our world. Trust me, because we don't have the choppers and the boats to be bringing these things in here, right? So we already
Yeah.
know they're putting it here purposely, and how he fell victim to that, and then he came out of that, and then he learned from it, and he speaks about those things that you're talking about, and I feel that everyone should
Yeah.
learn that about communication. I get some brothers that tell me, "Well, what book should I read, man?" Man, learn about communication. Or they tell me, "Oh, well, I'm learning some spiritual book about the ancestors." I went, "That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that." But people judge you. As soon as you open your mouth, they've
Yeah.
already made a judge. In fact, Jordan Belfort speaks about that. He said it's about 4 seconds or five. That's how quick it happens, brother. That's how quick
That's
it
true.
happens. Yeah, they
True.
judge you. Everything, boom, right there. You see? So if you're not coming with that right away that you're speaking about, that confidence, that movement, like, yeah, you're not like screaming with your hands all in the air, but, take command of the room. Be confident in yourself. Know who you are. I know who I am. It took me a long time to figure that out, by the way. But yes, but yeah, tell me a little bit more, brother, about some of
Yeah.
the focal points that you're looking at.
So, knowing yourself is one, and being able to ground yourself. I think that's what I was covering before. And then I would say, that's that serve thing, right? How are you in service to the moment? Some people probably don't feel that way. I don't know. Right now, I feel like that's the way that it seems to go. That's how things have always worked out for me. How do you be in service to the moment? And the only way to know sometimes how to serve a moment is to ask questions. But
Mm,
make sure that the questions that you're asking are in servitude to what needs to be done. A lot of people feel like since pandemic, you ever find people just standing around in derpa state, just they're just sort of waiting. They're waiting for someone else to make something else happen. But the thing is, like, we can take charge and say, "Oh wait, this needs to happen over here. What needs to happen? How do we see this being a successful or a
mm,
positive experience?
mm,
Let's do as much work as we can in that regard
mm,
because it will always come back.
mhm,
One way or
mhm,
another, it will come back."
mhm,
We're seeing a lot of the old music industry now kind of fall to crap. And I
mm,
think
mm,
that what's happening is, like, who wants to be a billionaire but then end up going to jail? Who wants to be a billionaire but you can't come in America or show your face in anywhere?
mm,
Like that mindset, that's where that goes. You
mm.
know, if you're not in servitude to a thing, it's
You,
like,
mhm.
go ahead.
Yes, and I totally agree. And I'd say about that is that if you've read any successful book, they always say a handful of things. There's a handful. They're all saying the same thing. It's
Yeah,
just a story behind it. But they always say serve,
serve.
serve, in
Yeah,
service. You will never be without. You never lack anything in your life if you are in servitude. And that's one
yeah,
of the things that Omziel preaches is like that. Know your purpose. Stand in your power, just like you're saying, in those things, right? And there's some tools like grounding yourself and those things like that. But be in service. Don't do
yeah,
it because people are looking at you, or you're gonna make some friends and nothing like that. No, forget about that. Forget about that. No, just be
yeah,
in servitude. That's why
yeah,
you see some of these guys that they have so much money, they have more money than God. And you would
yeah,
think, right? There's guys sitting around thinking about, man, I'm gonna retire in 2 years. They got the calendar out, like they're counting it to retire. Bro, there's people out there, there's no retire for them. Why? They're in service, bro.
yeah.
That's it. They like they love what they're doing. They find their purpose and they're
Yeah, when
working
you
in that.
when you serve, you learn so much. You learn so much, and I think that people, like I said, they don't like people don't really understand. Like your health is very important. Your mental health, your physical health, and I'm not saying that you got to be perfect because we all get it. Like it's temptations out there all over the place. So I'm not saying never have what you would quote unquote fun because I'm sure that people want to try things, but I would say this: be mindful of it because there's a lot of encouragement to be very destructive.
Hmm, hmm,
There's a lot of encouragement to be very destructive, and you don't realize where that destructive darkness takes you
Hmm.
until you're there, and
Yeah,
now
yeah.
you can't.
I know. I've been down that dark alley, bro,
Yeah,
several times, and
yeah,
it's tough. Like, you want to get off the ride, and you don't even know
yeah.
who's driving the ride, and
Yeah.
when did you pay your ticket? Like, yeah,
Yeah.
it gets like
Did
that.
When did you get on this ride? When did this start happening? What do you
Yeah.
mean that this is happening right now? So, doing things like going to ice plunges,
Hmm.
doing things like going to places where you can communicate with people, going to community events,
Hmm.
finding out things that are happening around that are positive, and paying attention to your environment,
Hmm.
and making sure that other things in your environment are also doing good, because you
Hmm.
can't just be the only one doing good in your environment, or else that's going to turn on you too.
Right.
you know
It was a great point that you brought up earlier that you said, oh, when I showed up, there was everybody was helping and moving things around, and then we got into the room. You see, what's that right there? That's
yeah,
community building. That's what
yeah,
OMZL is doing. We are building community here. This is a tribe.
yeah,
That's what we're doing here, man. We're not just like, oh, this is a great place to hang out, and why don't you just there's an Xbox in the back. There's none of that, bro. Or yeah, go smoke some hookah in the other room. There's none of that here. This is about community building and communicating with other, like-minded people, right?
yeah,
And we're creating together, and we're pushing each other too, right? Because we're not sitting around just playing chess, which there's nothing wrong with that. I love it. Chess is a great game, and there's many things that you can do. Read books, and there could be book clubs. I love all that, you know.
right,
But the communication, the building portion of it. I mean, we had the Purple Sage Festival. I mean, you know, really, Owen. Sometimes I'm beside myself. I look at what's going on, bro, and like sometimes I start crying. I'm like, this is fucking beautiful, man. Like,
yeah.
it's incredible, like creating these things for people to come together and stay focused and helping people. You
It's
know,
probably humbling over. It's probably a little humbling, huh?
it is. And
Yeah,
sometimes, brother, you know when it gets me too? When I'm in the ice. Really, when I'm like frozen there and I'm like, breathe, oh, stay with it, come on, focus. And then I hear everybody around me. I'm looking, I'm like, hey, ho, hey, ho, hey. I'm like, this is beautiful, man.
yeah, yeah,
I'm like, really, it's just unexplainable. It's
yeah,
unexplainable until you experience it, and people speak about that too. Like they're in the ice, and then all of a sudden they hear that bird that's right over there. You
yeah.
can, or the clouds, like they just with this blue sky. It's never that blue before. It's like that, bro.
It's
Yeah,
true.
it's like that.
It's true.
It's beautiful.
Activating some extra sensory
Hmm.
devices in our human sort of being,
I
you
like
know.
that. I like
And
that.
yeah, man, like I said, the those are the steps that I like. Being an MC, you have to be aware of a lot because there's a lot of calibration. There's a lot of people who have done great things. I listen to people like Tony Robbins. I listen to people who have a lot of value, and they're in servitude. And even though they're in servitude, they seem to be doing pretty well in life. And there's taboos that come along with success, of course.
Hmm.
But I think that you have to take your level as high as you can go. That
Hmm.
includes the positives and the negatives, but the
Hmm.
positives will literally speak for what you're about. So I'm
Hmm.
all about building, and I'm really happy to be around here.
You spoke about being positive and knowing yourself, standing in your power, being grounded, but also taking charge of yourself, and your surroundings, right? So just recently, a good brother had brought some things to my attention and spoke about the podcast in particular. We've taken a little break, but looking back, there were some people that were on the podcast that really are not bringing too much value, and then seem to be taking control of the podcast in some way, right? And that's really not the way that things should be conducted, and that's not the message that we want to show people too, right? We
Right.
want to bring value and this some sort of kinetic energy that we're both exchanging here, right? So I'm glad that I found you, and we spoke about many things beforehand, and we were able to share many things here and level up. I mean, I have some plans, brother, man. Once somebody pulls your coat, right? And that's another great point too. You don't want yes men around you. Let the audience know you don't want that. You don't want that. I got some buddies, man. They say yes to everything. What? Nah, man. Challenge me. Like, not to bother me, but to
Yeah.
say, hey, maybe it could have been a little different or something like that. Man, I appreciate that. I take it in.
Yeah.
I take note right away, man.
You
I'm
know,
all
I think these days people are scared. You know, the doom stream, stream of doom.
mm,
Uh, it has made people feel like they need to be combative in areas that they don't necessarily need to be combative. You know, the art of war and all that stuff. I understand that, Bob Marley said everywhere is war, but it's not there are certain places you have to understand that you create what you create. You can create peace too.
mm,
You don't have to just
mm.
create war. You don't have to create these things and
I
then
like that.
suddenly find yourself in it. You can create peace. And I think I would prefer more people think that way, so that when you have to go to war, you're defined by the peace you made.
I
You
like
know,
that. I like
and
that.
like I said, I ain't perfect,
I
but
like that. I like
I'm
that. Oh, you're perfectly. I'm perfect.
yeah, I'm just a guy who's aware, and I think that I talk to a lot of older people and a lot of younger people. I'm conscious of them. I see how they are, see how they think, and I think that there's a wave of energy that, as people who are in our 30s and 40s and stuff like that, we need to be making sure that we are showing people that there is hope. There
Mhm,
is things to look forward to later on in life. Not everything is doom.
mhm.
And, we got to just work towards that end. That's where it is. So,
Thank you, brother. We'll leave it at that, man. Thank you so much. We went a little bit over time, but it was well worth it, bro. You do have the codes, man, and we're just gonna keep our eye on you, brother. I'd love to have you back again. Let's check back in, a couple of weeks or something.
man, this was fun. Thanks for having me. I know that I just going to plug off here. If you guys are on Spotify, I have two new releases that I wanted to make
That's
sure I
right.
talked about.
And tell them where they could find you too. Go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
I
No,
have to do this as a
of course.
businessman. If you don't know that I have this stuff,
That's
so
right.
I have two songs out right now that I just released. One is called Epic Nights. One is called The Beach. They're both positive vibes. Try to have a good time. We have a little fun, and I think that if you check them out, they're on everywhere that streams music. It's Eli Costello, spelled. Hopefully, you're seeing it on the screen here. And yeah, thank you so much for having me on the show, and I look forward to seeing you guys again.
Of course, brother. Peace and love. Thank you again, man.
Peace and love, brother.
All right, guys, there you have it. Wow, that was amazing, man. I hope you guys really enjoyed that because I really enjoyed it too. There's a handful of podcasts that we do, and this one just feels right, man. It feels like what we're really shooting for too. And I thank you so much for your comments and your suggestions. I take them to heart, man, right away. I see there's people listening. I see, the comments that are made and all that. Thank you so much, man. Thank you for, filling me in on some things that perhaps we're missing, and something that we're overlooking or something that we could add. I greatly appreciate it. What I also want to say is that we're having some events coming up, right? There's an end of summer. It will be the Purple Sage Part 2. And if you were at the first one, you will see that it was phenomenal. If you haven't been, don't miss the second one, brother. Get in. As you can imagine, space is limited. We're having it here at the Omzia Healing Sanctuary. In addition to that, I promised you that for the ice plunge that we're having, we are having one on July 27th, and spots are filling up, and we're giving a chance for the brother who has stepped in and is filling it. We're going to give him a chance to bring in the men there, and once some other slots open up, that's when I'll start broadcasting that on the social media. We're going to give you, for the people who are listening to the podcast, we'll give you half off of the energetic exchange for the ice plunge. So please tap in. I'm a man of my word. Keep me to it. I appreciate you. Peace and love.